What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I'd love to welcome you to Texas. We are officially mask off country. I hope that you are enjoying your freedom on this Texas Independence Day. You know, I thought what better way to kick the show off than bringing some other amazing Texas people into the show. Mr. Tim Jackson, introduce yourself really quickly to the audience.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for having me back, Erica. My name is Tim Jackson, the owner of Tim Jackson Realty here in Dallas, Texas. And I really am looking forward to this show. We've had an interesting day in Texas, so I'll just let you pop it off. I'll defer.
And for the record, everybody, as you're coming in, drop your city and state in the chat because we love to know where you're coming from. That way that we're all connected. Okay? So listen, I think many of you need a little bit of this in your life. Come on with it, everybody. 76 people in the chat. Let's get that chat up to 300. Come on now.
You're so funny. Not the eyes of Texas.
Hey, cook them.
Oh my goodness.
All right, now you already know we're gonna get that copyright
COVID free. You better know. You better turn that off. You better say that's for educational purposes.
Educational.
Welcome to No Mask Texas, baby.
Mask off. Hey, mask off. Hey, listen. On a serious tip, though, Tim, you know, I got all this week. I've got shows coming up about how 60% of the schools are failing, or is it kids don't know how to work the computer and turn the assignments in? Then I also have one showing a few other reasons why things have been so wonky. But again, if you guys don't know, today is Texas Independence Day, March 2nd. I forgot the original year, so don't jump on me. But our governor said, hey, listen, March 10th, it's a wrap. Now, March 9th is my birthday, so he said he just couldn't do it for me. He had to do one more day later. So March 10th, it's a wrap statewide. No mask. Go on about your business. Go on about your life. Okay. Of course, Austin, being the blue little dot we are, have already started saying, hey, wear the mask when you come to our restaurant. And guess what? That's your legal right. That's your truth. Now, Tim.
Oh, by the way, you know, that was 1836.
1836.
You know, we had to learn that in Texas history. I remember that. I remember having to recall that in grad school as well. So 1836. But the blacks weren't freed until Juneteenth. So that's the trivia question. What Juneteenth was it? Anybody who can answer that?
Y'all. Does anybody know the original Juneteenth? Put it in the chat. I'm telling you, got some Converse folks in here. We got some Dallas folks, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, San Jose, more Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago in the house. Pisces season all day. Listen, I got 20 family members with March birthdays. And I'm like, it just is what it is. All right. So Tim, while we're waiting on that answer, I'm glad to see you're okay. Now, y'all know it was a blizzard out here and Tim drove right by me. I had my thumb out on the highway and Tim was like, sorry about you. And drove right past. Corey Gibson put down it was 1865. 1865. Is that correct?
Actually, 1866, but he was close.
Hey, he was close.
He was close.
Okay, we got some Miami and Houston in here. Pisces season. Listen, y'all already know what time it is. Pisces, we the best. Okay. We moody, but we the best. Okay.
Are you a Pisces?
Yeah, March 9th is my birthday.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. My goodness. I did not. It all makes sense now.
Listen, I got 20 family members. The men and the women, it's like total opposites. It's ridiculous.
Yes, they are. You that fish swimming upstream, not the one swimming downstream, right?
I'm hoping so. I don't know what's going on downstream, but I ain't trying to go there.
What's good?
But so, Tim, I also want to thank you for spending your time because you are now officially Tim Jackson independent broker status again.
That's it. Thank you so much. Yes. So if anyone who's seen me before on Erica's wonderful broadcast, I've been in the game 16 years, 8 years as an independent broker. A few years ago, I got recruited to a bigger corporation and took my team there to leverage, you know, some of the resources and the assets they had specifically with the technology. And after about 3 years, you know, I just felt it was time for me to go back and be Tim Jackson. I can say what I want to say, do what I want to do. Don't have to worry about being censored for the most part. Well, I ain't gonna say for the most part. I don't have to worry about being censored. If anybody knows anything about me, I don't bite my tongue. I saw a lot of people within the company, regardless of how they were leaning, whether it was left or right, you know, they were getting the boot. because people felt some kind of way about their post. And so that was kind of one of the reasons a while back I was like, you know what? I don't like people telling me what I can and cannot say. And I kept my broker's license open. And, you know, actually after all the snowstorms hit, Erica, a lot of people don't know this, but, you know, I'm a zoning commissioner here in Dallas. So in my area, we had a bunch of people like who were lost their power, lost their water, busted pipes and stuff. So, you know, when the snowstorms hit, I was out helping people cut the water off and stuff like that in my area. And then after that, you know, I went out of town for a couple of days, went to Vegas, actually. Got some warm weather. Didn't do any drinking, didn't do any gambling. It was more so to kind of just get my mind right. And during that time, I said, you know what? It's time for me to get back to what I know best. And that's doing me. And that's educating my people continuously, teaching them about the benefits of real estate and, you know, do this Tim Jackson thing like I've been doing. So it really seamless transition. All the marketing is going to stay the same, but, you know, I'm back to my independent brokerage.
I love it. I love it. Congratulations. Listen, you come to Texas. We come to Texas to get rich. It's plenty of opportunity out here.
Plenty of opportunity in Texas. Let's talk about it.
I got a crazy story from Dallas, from your backyard. So my trainer works out with me, and he was saying, his friend's dad is an old Black veteran. Is like, well, I think I might sell the house. Let's see what happens when I put it on the market. I probably got a month or two I can clean up and fix stuff. 4 days on the market. Already ready to close. Got multiple offers. They go, well, we want some of this cosmetic stuff done. Mm-hmm. And the old veteran goes, well, I'll give you $500 back and I'll put it back on the market. How about that?
How about that?
And they said, nope, we'll take it. We'll take it as is. And he was just so shocked that he hadn't even prepared himself. Like, he literally had always talking about moving, selling the house, going to look for a retirement community or get a little bit outside of Dallas. And guess what? Like 4 days later, house had multiple offers. This is something that's happening here in Austin. We've had somebody on record go $99,000 over asking price. So basically $100,000 over asking price. We have areas where there's a year wait list. They're saying because of lumber. And a lot of people say, well, Erica, look at all the electrical problems Texas had. Look at all these problems Texas had. And I'm telling you, when it comes to marketing, advertising, and where to go, we're still high up there. I mean, literally right after the storm, I saw the highway full of U-Hauls, and they were coming in, not going out. So what are some things people need to be prepared if they move to your city and they're like, yo, Tim, I'm ready to buy a house. I'm going to just hop in because you know what time it is right now. It's about to hit April, May, June, July for housing. What do they need to do?
What do they need to do? They need to first things first, prepare their mind and lower their expectations. They need to become a lot realistic. So I literally just had this conversation. It's funny what you said about that gentleman. I was literally in that same situation a few years ago when I sold my house and before I purchased the house that I'm currently in. And that was when the market was really hot like it is now. Mm-hmm. Interest rates were even higher than they were then. And so, we put our house in the market and we got a full price offer plus some the same day. And we were homeless, essentially. Our house closed in less than 30 days. We didn't have anywhere to go, right? And so fast forward today, I'm having people that's dealing with it. I have a client currently who is going through that right now. They put their house in the market. Everything was going well with it. And, we put them on the market, sold in the same day or got a contract the same day, found another property for them. But then the buyers end up backing out. So we're back on the market. Mm-hmm. And their biggest fear is, Tim, we're going to sell our house and not have anywhere to go. Mm-hmm. And so what I tell my sellers is, if you're buying up in price, you're not going to have any problems because the sweet spot here, at least in Dallas, I can't speak for anywhere else. So if you guys are in Austin or somewhere else, I'm speaking specifically to Dallas. The sweet spot here is between 250 and 300. Really 200 to 300. But if you're buying something in that 250 range, you're bidding against a lot of people. And that's why it's really important to get an experienced agent who knows how to negotiate. All right. Mm-hmm. Write that down. If you don't listen to anything else I just said, find you someone who's experienced and who knows how to negotiate. I see somebody in the chat from East Dallas. What's good with you? My office is in East Dallas. So find you someone who knows how to negotiate because during times like this, you have to be creative. You have to have an agent who knows how to write a contract that's going to stand out and separate your contract from the next. And that can be, putting up more guaranteed money. That can be asking for a shorter option period. That can be asking for, less repairs. I've had clients who have gotten the inspection report back, and that inspection report was messed up, but they understood that they got the offer, and instead of making a list of repairs, they said they made a list of what can we fix when we get done, right? Or get inside. So I even negotiate that with my people that I'm making offers with. I say, listen, anything structural, foundation, roof, plumbing, electrical, you're gonna have to address that with anybody. Okay. So if you don't want to take our list of repairs for those items, then you're gonna have to deal with anyone on that. I said all the cosmetic stuff, the caulking and the sealing and the, tightening up the door handle. We're not gonna even ask for that stuff. We're just gonna only focus on, roof, foundation, electrical, plumbing, stuff like that. That's important. HVAC system. Definitely, you need a good HVAC system in Texas, right? And if you can stick to that, if you can go into it with the mindset of the average person moves every 3 to 5 years, so this will not. I'm gonna say it again. This will not be your forever home. You're going to move in 5 years.
Man, listen.
If
somebody could have talked to me about 5 years ago when I saw this house for 135 and was like, that same house, 285, 3 years later.
3 years later.
Could have been going about my business and went somewhere else.
Listen, I did it. You know what I'm saying? The first house that I bought, I was going to buy a house in an area called Little Elm. People from D-Town, DFW, you know what I'm talking about. It's north of Plano. And I thought to myself, man, why would I buy a house this far out? And then at the time, that house, they wanted like 180 for it. And I just couldn't conceive paying anything over 200. This was back in 2011. And so I ended up buying something that was 140. That house today is worth last time I looked, it was worth 339.
Yeah.
And that's just in 10 years. And then the house that I bought is worth 235. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the house that I bought and that house were almost identical in size, but it's all about the location. I should have bought that house. All right. But I didn't, because I was like, well, let me see if there's something better out there. And no one advised me. No one told me this is what you need to work. You need to buy based on projections, not based on your feelings. And so now when we buy property, it's 100% based on projections.
So it's something I wanted to tell people and address, because, people are like, well, maybe Texas builds bad houses. This is during the storm, which is very insensitive, very insulting. And I want y'all to understand that I'm not in any way not sensitive or giving empathy to the storm situation. If many of you don't realize, I live down the street from a really popular, prolific family funeral home, and their power went out. So there are about 10 families affected by this funeral home's power going out during the storm, and they're gutting the place. So we literally have damages in Texas. I brought on an adjuster. I don't know if you saw that one. It was pretty good. I was like, man, I wish more Black people could be home adjusters. I wish more Black people could be in insurance. But we have about $5.2 billion in damages. And I just want to tell people, it's not that the homes are badly built. They're built for what? Sunny conditions.
That's real. And the shout out to Goddess Noel. Take off your victim glasses.
I was doing this and you weren't even looking. I was
I saw what you was doing, man. But I was so in the zone. Shout out to Goddess Noel. Listen, man, so many people come at me and say that, like, man, that's like the quote of the year, right? But all jokes aside, what you said is real. A lot of people was taking shots at Texas. What you got to realize is Texas is on its own power grid. We do things different. As you can see, our governor declared that COVID was over today, right? So Texas is just a weird state, right? And Austin being the weirdest of them all, right? That's like literally their thing out there, right? But if Texas were so bad, then why are people moving here in droves, right? So let's just keep it real. Let's take the emotion out of it. Texas is an opportunity state. Whenever we find a problem in Texas, we always solve it. Because from a pride perspective, we just see ourselves as better than everybody. Don't shoot the messenger. Y'all know people from Texas. Y'all know how we get down, right?
Tim got the.
Hey, listen, man. If you don't know somebody from Texas with a Texas tattoo, you don't know nobody from Texas, right?
Yeah, basically.
But basically, anywhere you go, there's going to be issues. I mean, California has earthquakes. Florida has hurricanes. Up north, the Middle East has snowstorms. We live I live in Tornado Alley. I think it cuts off right around Waco. You guys aren't considered Tornado Alley, but up from Waco, I believe, up to Kansas, Nebraska. like you're gonna have something. You know what I'm saying? So the houses here, you can sell your house in New York, California, DC, Vegas, and come here and pay cash for a house. I've helped people do it. I've helped people who watch your show do it. So, let's not be too corny. You never want to kick anybody while they're down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the residents' fault that our system is being managed poorly, but it definitely brought a lot of attention to what we could be doing better. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even installation. Like I was telling people when I was trying to buy this new construction home and I ended up backing out of the deal for various reasons. Like upstairs, they were like, well, we put some extra installation on just sitting it there. And I was like, well, why don't y'all put it up? And they're like, well, you really don't need all this extra installation. Now
it's a catch-22. Thankfully for me, we didn't have any issues, but from, a lot of people don't know. So the storm hit that Saturday. We went to San Antonio that Friday. And then we kind of got stuck in San Antonio until that Tuesday morning. And so we went there, got up early Tuesday morning, hit the road real quick and kind of got back quick. But even when I got back here, like, my house, we had one pipe that froze. It was the outside pipe, for the water outside. But I came home and I had some of that little foam I put around my my water pipes upstairs. My rental properties, I literally went over to all my rental properties and checked on them and made sure everyone was good. People's lights were coming in and out, so took some heaters over there, so when the lights did come on, to put them under the sinks and stuff like that. But I just pretty much for about 72-hour period, man, I didn't get any sleep because I'm like, man, I don't want these pipes to burst, even in my own house. But proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, right? And so piss poor performance, some would say, promotes pain. So my thing was this time around, I'm going to make sure that, I have, measures in place to prevent anything from happening. But a lot of people made the mistake of dripping their pipes or dripping their lines.
Yeah.
But what happened was this, Erica. So you're supposed to drip your lines, but what people forgot was to drip the hot water too. So when the electricity went out, all the hot water turned cold, froze up in the line. And with the line not being open, they bursted. So that's why you were seeing so many chain reactions of bursted pipes. I had a couple of clients whose pipes bursted, and it was the hot water line. It wasn't the cold water line. So we've learned a lot. You correct your mistakes, you move on.
And another thing people have to realize, it's huge windows. If you go anywhere in Dallas, I love North Dallas houses. Frisco, all those places. I love them. They're beautiful. Huge windows, huge ceilings. Heat's going to go up. I was talking to somebody, they were like, well, doesn't Texas have generators? I'm like, for what? If it's always hot here, we can survive a hot day with no AC and no power.
We can
survive a cold day.
It's that cold day that get you,
right?
Because then it starts impacting your pipes and it starts impacting a lot of stuff. I mean, look, it is what it is. We're thinking about getting a generator as well. Just in case.
$300 well invested.
Yeah, one of the little cheap ones, and get an electrician to come out here, pay them $500 or $600 to hook it up. Keep some diesel fuel in it, and just get ready for when it happens, because it's going to happen again. It's just about how we respond to it. But a lot of people, with all that happened, they're still not going to prepare, and that's the problem. It doesn't matter where you live, if you're not willing to get prepared. If you don't stay ready and you have to keep getting ready, then that's not a regional thing. That's a you thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, again, even when I talk to people about FEMA says have 2 weeks worth of groceries. And you already see people, like, there are people out here in a Mercedes Benz trying to go out in the snow to go get groceries. I'm like, y'all, like, FEMA literally said you have to have groceries. Like,
we were down
beans and rice.
I was down in San Antonio, and one thing I can say about San Antonio is that they definitely, in my opinion, handled things a little bit better than the city of Dallas. I'm not trying to beat up on the city of Dallas, but I can be critical of my city, right? But they had it to where, the highways were shut down. You couldn't get on the service ramps. But within the neighborhoods, I had to go to HEB one morning to get some, some food. Man, you would have thought it was the apocalypse. So many people were up there, man. I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
I mean, what was cracking me up was I was in line and this lady had brisket and ribs. I was like, boo-boo, what you doing with that?
Man.
What's she doing?
I don't know,
She about to have a cookout at her house.
I fired up my grill one morning. I ain't gonna lie, but I wasn't cooking no brisket and no ribs. I threw some, some baked chicken and some patties on there. You know what I'm saying?
So, I just wanted to share that little tidbit because people act like I don't care. And there's a reason why we aren't connected to the United the power grid. And it's not just greed. It's not just Texas being their own way. We've already predicted that we have the oldest power grid in the whole, developed world, and that anytime it can be hacked. We've already, there are committees meeting on that every day. So when people are like, well, Texas should just join the rest of the country. And I'm like, but that's what the rest of the country's trying to figure out right now, is how to not get it hacked. You know what I mean? So
it's
we're ahead of the curve. So
it's a lot of internet experts out there. So I just be like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're right.
You're right. And just keep it
you
going,
know
man,
everything.
So
so part of the thing is, people are like, okay, all right, I want to get in a house. I'm tired of the apartment thing. Tim, what does my credit need to look like? Where can I get financing?
You know what? So here's the thing. It doesn't take much to improve your credit. I'm sure if you watch many of Erica's videos, she teaches about that. I always tell my clients the best place to be when you're looking to purchase a home, so you can get traditional financing, which would be FHA, or conventional 5% down, is to try to be at a 640. If you want conventional, you probably want to lean more towards a 680. But a 640 is a sweet spot. FHA loans, you can get them with a 580 credit score. From my experience, you tend to pay double the interest. If the going interest rate is 2.5, you're going to pay at least 5%. Okay. So, just know that you're going to pay 2 or 3 more points more, from my experience, on that. And a lot of times when I see these no money down, come show up and give us $1,000 and use our lender, if you actually Google these companies and read their reviews, they tend to have the worst reviews ever, because many of them are known for kind of getting you in on that $1,000 down. And then when something comes up to where you can't get a loan, they keep your $1,000 or your $500. And that can be predatory in some senses. I'm probably one of the few agents who speak out on that.
They kept my 18 for sure.
Yeah. So you and
18,000.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
crazy. We had to call a lawyer.
Yeah, man. I don't know who all is watching this. I don't know how hot your block is. So I'm going to keep my personal comments to myself.
I'm just going to say, a lot of new construction is beautiful, but you need to have your own financing.
Yeah,
you need to have a realtor.
Yeah.
People make fun of realtors. Oh, I don't need no realtor. You do.
You know what, man? The real estate game is getting a bit saturated. I always tell people
a good realtor.
Yeah, get you a good one. I always joke and say I make it look easy. But a lot of people don't, it's funny. Sometimes I'm in my office and I have an attorney friend of mine, one of my attorneys I've used in the past. We live in the same neighborhood. My office is by the neighborhood. And so from time to time, he'll drive by the office at 9:30 or 10. And he's texting me like, it's a dark building. And then you see my light on at the top. And he's like, bro, you still at the office? I'm like, the game. We kind of laugh about it. But, you need to get you someone who's committed to the craft. I got in trouble last time I said you need a full-time realtor. I still stand by that.
I think you should stand by it.
Yeah, I stand by that. I'm not going to backpedal on that, because if a person doesn't take your livelihood seriously, and if they don't commit the time, effort, and energy on a full-time basis, in my opinion, then I don't think they deserve your business. That's just me. So, yeah, but yeah, 640 is a good spot. You can get in at 620. What I saw when the pandemic hit is that some of the lenders and the underwriters were raising their expectations because people didn't have income and stuff like that, and they weren't really sure. You see a lot of people going into forbearance. So I'm seeing people trying to sell their house now, and they owe a year's worth of mortgage, you know?
And you can't, like, Tim, I already know several people, they tried to go to closing and people like, oh, somebody got to pay that.
Yeah.
Between you, the buyer, or the seller, somebody got to pay it. And people acting like they just going to show up at closing and get a fat check. And like, no.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting, but again, that's ill-advised information, and like I said, I can't tell you how many times people come to my company after having a bad experience with other people. And listen, for all my new agents who's listening to this, I was a new agent once. I knew how to fake it till I make it. I eventually turned it into what it is. I'm not crapping on anybody. What I'm saying is you got to be about that craft. You can't. It's not a real estate thing. You can't just get your license and look pretty and look handsome on a photo, because when they start putting your feet to the fire, and when it's time to write that contract, and when it's time to negotiate, and when you have to explain to your client you forgot to check one box, so they're going to lose their $2,500 earnest money, then that's when you start seeing people not renewing their license. They're like, man, this real estate stuff for birds, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and HGTV makes it look good. And also, I think a lot of people think, oh, I want to invest in real estate in the future, so I should be a real estate agent. You'd be like, but do you like dealing with people? Do you like follow-up? Do you like sales? A lot of y'all don't.
A lot of y'all don't. A lot of y'all, I'm not a people person. I know people laugh when I say that because I'm so jovial online, but business is business. And then in my personal life, I kind of duck off and hang out with my family and myself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't catch me out too much with a bunch of people in crowds, but online and when I'm educating, this is kind of like for lack of better words, this is my theater. This is where I can shine and show you guys, hey, this is what I know, and this is what what works. But if you're not a people person, if you don't know how to have a conversation, if you're too afraid, like for instance, I've been having to text this as an agent who won't pick up the phone. Like I've been texting this person like, hey, can I give you a call? You know what I'm saying? Like either they're at work or they just don't have people skills, right?
There's a couple of videos of people showing that they use their phone to text as
Yeah.
agents. Like they're promoting it pretty hard on YouTube right now. And I'm like, I don't think y'all should promote that. Because you will have to pick up the phone.
This is a hands-on business. Like the quickest way to lose clients is to not communicate. You know what I'm saying? And think about this. Anybody listening to this, a text message is interpreted based on how you're feeling, right? You cannot interpret tone and voice inflection. So if you just got into an argument with your significant other and then your agent is texting you saying, hey, we need to be more aggressive on these offers, you're not going to read it as, we need to be more aggressive on these offers. You're going to read it, we need to be more aggressive on these offers, right? So then they don't fire you, right?
Many are broke ups from that, okay?
Yeah.
They're like, have a good day, sir. Have a good day.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, exactly.
What about USDA loans? Again, so credit score is 640, 680. What about USDA loans? People hear things on the internet. They're gonna go get that USDA loan and put no money down and move in the house.
That's a good loan type if you live in a rural area and if it's offered. The one thing about USDA is that depending on when they open it up and depending on when they close it, it's a window. So once they issue so many loans in a certain area for a certain period of time, they close it off. So for instance, there's a community where I live. It's called Heartland, and it's like that Forney. I think that's Kaufman County, right? So that they advertised and marketed the USDA loan. Like that's what built that community. Yeah. And then what happens is as time goes on, an area may not be considered as rural because many people move to it. I think so. So what happens is that area doesn't qualify. It's a good loan type, very similar to FHA because it's a government-backed loan. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think that sometimes you need a 680, maybe a 640. It just depends on who's underwriting the loan. But it's not a bad loan choice. I've closed plenty of USDA loans for people, but 100% financing doesn't mean that you don't have to pay fees. Just remember that. You still have to pay closing fees. You still have to pay. There's still fees associated with your loan, right? And there may even still be fees associated with your lender. So it's not like you're going to show up with nothing. In some cases you do, like VA loans, which of course is for veterans, right? A lot of times they show up, whatever they put down, they may get that refunded to them. But you just have to look at the case-by-case situation and the program's qualifications. There's other loan types. I'm not giving an endorsement, but I know that NACA is a program that allows you to do 100% financing. When I was certified to do NACA, it was a very, very long process. And it seemed like it took forever. In Dallas, we had one NACA representative for the entire county.
God bless them.
And so you can imagine the caseload. But now, I haven't done a loan with them in a while, but I think that they've gotten a lot more streamlined. And if I'm not mistaken, at the time, they were going through Bank of America as their primary financer. So there's loans, there's opportunities out there, you guys. But, I would say
time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence. Yeah.
I really want to say that. Like, I think it's great that people want to, find NACA loans and unique Austin down payment assistance and all this stuff. And I'm all about the ownership, but you have to understand too that time is of the essence. Like the best deals are going to go with the best money. Okay. That's just real. Is what it is. It's going to be a wrap.
Yeah. NACA's huge in Atlanta. I see somebody post it's huge in Atlanta.
I wonder how many agents they got processing in Atlanta though.
They probably got a lot.
They probably crying over there like, please stop coming to these things. Also the thing about USDA loans and like a lot of these down payment assistance programs, it be moving the income levels, especially for Austin, it just be moving. So it's like, I don't want to play that game. The art of negotiations. That's right. Of course, USDA loans aren't available everywhere because it's based on a rural area.
It's based on rural areas. Yeah. So if you live in Philly, you can cancel that. Now, if you live in Allentown, it may work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how. I used to have to go to Allentown back in the Gap. Shout out to everybody in Philly and Allentown. Boy, I used to be there.
I did, man. I did a whole video about how they just playing. They playing too hard with the wholesalers down there. They playing in Philly.
Yeah.
So listen, Nail Scott, she went through a lot of retailers. They be playing. Nail Scott, you in Atlanta? Oh yeah, that's the home of the pretty realtors. Pretty realtors not doing nothing. He's stating facts about perfecting your craft. I mean, I really want to do a video, Tim, where it talks about like what you do every day is who you are.
Man. Well, I tell my son all the time, he's right here, but I ain't gonna have him talk. I told him I ain't gonna let him chime in, but how you do anything is how you do everything. Like I tell him that all the time. He probably gets tired of me saying it, right? You know, he's making up his bed in the morning, it's not made right. I'm like, son, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So you got to put that time in.
It really gets one of those things where it's like the reason. So there's a couple people in Dallas that were following me, and I was like, I ain't never heard of these people. And my friend was like, you're real big with these Latino folks in Dallas. So I went and go chat it up with them, and all of them had 4 trucks, and they do wholesaling, and they just do the same thing every day. And it was so funny talking to each and every one of those 4 guys. I was like, that's life though. The best people doing the best work, getting the best income out of it, something they do every day in a system, and they tackle it every day.
Success isn't sexy.
It isn't.
I don't know who needs to hear that, but success isn't sexy. Success is ugly mother. I don't know the rating on this show, so I ain't gonna cuss. But it ain't sexy. And if you do the same thing every day, I was talking to my cousin who's, he's created $1 million business and he's a millionaire. And he says, what made me so successful is I did the ugly stuff every day. And people, they see the residuals, they see the cars, they see the houses, but they didn't see the fact that I was going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, for a year. I remember we visited him in California for Christmas and I woke up super early because I just get up early anyway. And he was downstairs, had 3 computer screens. He's working. I'm like, man, did you go to bed? He's like, yeah, but I got up 4 hours later and I'm here. And I was like, I need to step my game up. I thought I worked hard.
And so I'm at the point now where you do all you can do and then you delegate what you can't do well. That's where I am. Like, I know I can't do 10 different jobs well anymore. I'm just health wise and other reasons. And so like I had already pre-booked tickets for trips, right? Like pre-prescribed for the mental health break. And when everybody was running off to Tulum and Las Vegas after the storm, I was like, I want to go too. I'm like, you already bought your tickets for your birthday.
You already bought your tickets. Wait for that day to come.
You're going to be in Mexico and they're going to be hating.
Hey, what if Elroy say, well, as soon as I got my money, I was gone. No, we had to get up out of here because I didn't sleep for like 3 days. But I feel you. You got to plan that.
It was like a week of like, I'm going crazy in here. Because it's like, there's nothing you can do but be patient and wait.
That's right.
And so it was one of those mental things. Somebody say, I pray I will get a house / land in Texas or Florida within 2 years. So what should someone do if they're coming from out of state? Because there's crazy stories, people buying houses sight unseen, crazy mess out here. What should somebody do if they're coming from out of state and they're like, yo, I want to buy a house. I know I want to be in Dallas, Tim. I know.
So first things first, call me. Like I said, when I do these, it seems like every time I do these videos, I get a ton of calls and I end up helping people. But what I would say first is get you someone who can get out there and show you what the business is. So like with me, if I have someone that calls me from Cali or from Florida, New York, and say, hey, Tim, I want to buy a house, but I'm not going to be out there for a month or two. They eventually, I always encourage them to come to Dallas. And what I do for them is, definitely I want to verify their financials. I'm not a tour guide. So, if y'all just happen to be in town kicking it with your cousin this weekend, I ain't going to meet up and show you, how. Yeah. It don't work like that. But get approved for a loan first, and then get with you somebody that's going to take the time to do the work for you while you're gone. Like I have a dedicated YouTube page full of unlisted links where, I go out and I do tours of houses on my phone, post to YouTube, send them the unlisted link. And when I tell you that goes such a long way, it goes such a long way. Get someone who's going to be straightforward and honest with you. I'm never going to sell you something I wouldn't buy. And find you an agent who doesn't need the money. Okay? I'm going to say that one more time for people in the back. Find you an agent who doesn't need the money. Now, I'm not making it seem like I'm just flowing and rich, but I'm not going to allow a commission to ruin a relationship, if that makes any sense. Like, I'd rather walk away from a deal than to close it. And then my clients hate it. And then they go online and write bad reviews. And then they don't tell people, because I build my business, 90% of it is referral. Mm-hmm. So, I've walked away. I've talked my clients out of several deals. I was going to sell a client a house one time. It was such a nice house, but it was just in a unique area. It happened to be on the corner of a really busy street. And we ended up closing another house about a month later. And this person, on the way to her job, her and her husband, they would pass this house every day. And I promise you, every time I see them, they say, Tim, we're so glad we didn't buy that house. We were so glad you talked us out. Now, that house was like 20, 30 grand more in price. I would have had a little bit extra lunch money, but I knew that they had super small kids. Like, they had a 2-year-old at the time. She was pregnant. They've had, I want to say, another kid since then. Like, you can't let your kids
would have
play
ran
in the
outside.
yard, man. They would, and there was a bus stop right next to it. You know what I'm saying? Like
not the stranger danger. Stranger
you know what I'm saying?
danger.
So
pepper spray.
So you got to have an agent. If you're working from a distance, you got to have an agent that's going to tell you, hey, listen, I'm not steering you. I would never steer you, because not only is that unethical, it's illegal, but I want to let you know what this area is about. And then you make a decision. Anything within Dallas, the city of Dallas, is going to have crime. It just is what it is. Insurance rates in the state of Texas are based on counties. And, and the largest cities like Harris County is where Houston is. They have the highest insurance rates. Dallas County and Dallas County, Dallas, of course, Bexar County, San Antonio, Travis County, Austin, Tarrant County, Fort Worth. Those are the 5 highest insurance areas, right? But the highest rates are going to be in the city of Dallas, the city of San Antonio, the city of Houston, the city of Fort Worth. So, consequently or subsequently, on the outside of the suburbs, it's cheap. Like, some of the lowest rates are in Collin County, right? So you need an agent who's going to break that down and say, hey, yeah, there's going to be a little crime in Dallas. You're going to have higher insurance, but you might get better value depending on how close you are. Get you someone who knows the city, not one of these overnight experts, but somebody who knows the city. If it's Dallas, hit me up. Get you someone who's not afraid to tell you that they don't know something. A lot of new agents struggle with being able to say, I don't know.
I'll go get you an answer.
What I tell my new agents to say is, you know what? Let me check into that and confirm. My answer, I believe I'm going to give you the right answer, but I'd hate to give you something that you can Google and debunk. So let me confirm that for you. And then you get on Google, or you call me and find the answer, and then you text them back. Okay, I just want to confirm. Here's the answer. People respect that honesty. They're going to figure out it's fluff eventually. So yeah, but that's what you do. Get someone who knows the area, who's going to be honest with you, and who's not concerned too much about making a buck, because that person's going to sell you out every time.
So they got to get their financing in state or in the state they're currently in, or they have to do it via Texas, basically.
Yeah. So it depends on the loan officer. If the loan officer is licensed in Texas, then they can originate loans in Texas. Okay. If you call me, I can refer you to my people that I use. I have one in particular guy that I use. But if I can always get you a loan officer. That's the easy part. Right. Most of the big banks, if you want to go through a big bank, is licensed in every state, but I can give you, access to some of the smaller companies locally, or a broker locally who can shop around and get you anything in Texas. Okay.
Auntie said these FHA insurance and closing fee has people not closing on that house. Got to have your cash right. Someone said the question is, if your credit score is less than 680, do you still have to pay the private mortgage insurance? Asking for a friend.
It depends. So mortgage insurance is based off of your credit, and it's also based off of the equity in the house. It depends on the lender, you guys. While I'm a real estate broker, I don't know the answer to that. If you let me check it, I can get back and give you the right answer. You see how that works?
Yeah.
But I really think it's based on the lender. I know for a fact it's based on equity. So, for example, the property that I own, when we bought it, we did a 5% conventional loan, right? But we refinanced it to a 15-year, 2 years later. And because so much equity was built, they refinanced it at one price, but the equity showed another price. So it eliminated our private mortgage insurance, right? So because the equity was higher than, the difference between the equity and what we financed it for was 20%, it went away. So, and then the insurance rate, I know for a fact, the mortgage insurance rate is based on your credit. I know that for a fact. For sure. I think ours was $80 a month, which is really cheap. But I know my other client who I sold a house in the same neighborhood, theirs was like $120. You know what I'm saying? So, $40 may not be nothing to you, but
it matters. So another question.
Let me say something really quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Also, if you do FHA mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan. I don't care how good your credit is. If you do FHA,
Right.
it's for the life of the loan. So remember that too. That's why I always say if you can do conventional, go conventional.
Yeah. Because people be mad years later. My credit better. Someone said, do you think it's better for the market to crash, assuming it happens soon, to buy? And ignore this if you answered. Ray of sunshine. I keep trying to tell you, this is Texas. People are bringing their money.
We don't have crashes like everybody else. Ray of sunshine
at all.
Even when California, even back in 2005, when the big crash happened, and you were seeing people losing 50% on their houses, like the most we lost was like 7%. You know, statewide. You know, that was the highest that you saw was a 7% decrease. And that was on what they don't tell you is that was on the big houses. Those were on the, you know, the $600,000, $700,000 houses. Now listen, if you're in California, New York, when I say 600, 700,000, that's peanuts to you guys. In Texas, that's a mini mansion. Okay.
That's a $2 million house.
That's a $2 million. Yeah. You know, like a $2 million house in LA is, you know, a $500,000 house. You see what I'm saying? So when you saw those numbers, that 7% difference, that wasn't on your single family, 3-bed, 2-bath house. That was on your, you know, 5-bed, 5-bath, 4,000 square foot plus house. So we don't see crashes. We just don't see it here. Texas, there's so much land. We're still building out. Like most cities are building up. We're still building out. You know, like I was at a new development today that's 20 minutes outside of Dallas, and they're getting ready to put up 1,000 homes on a golf course lot, and they're starting at 250, 260. Like, so we don't have those kind of problems out here because we have a good market. The only thing that we have to compete with nationwide are interest rates.
Y'all, I'm trying to tell you. I bring Tim on because I feel like, oh, Erica, you just pumping Texas up. You just so optimistic. And I'm like, no, I study graphs and charts, and like they've already predicted like 1 million people to leave New York because they told their accountants to get their stuff in order to leave. And this is just the people who got money, got an accountant, and told them to get their books in order. You're not even talking about the people that's leaving that ain't told nobody.
When I get a listing, I target my listing ads on migration patterns. I don't even run my listing ads in Dallas for the most part. I base it off of the migration patterns. You know, a lot of people are coming from Sacramento. They're coming from the Bay Area. They're coming from LA. People are coming from Vegas. People are coming from, believe it or not, it's a lot of Atlanta people coming to Dallas.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Dallas people going to Atlanta. And they're coming to Houston. A lot of people coming from Shreveport. The Shreveport people tend to come to Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
The Baton Rouge, the New Orleans people tend to go to Houston. Like, it's just like the train back in the first, Great Migration. You know what I'm saying? You hop on that train at interstate and you go to the first major city. A lot of people come from Little Rock. We got so many people coming from Little Rock. Memphis.
All over the place.
That's that same I-30 track. You see what I'm saying? So I don't run ads in Dallas. I run ads where the migration pattern is. So that person that's sitting up at that job, like, dang, I don't like it here. There's no opportunity. Boom, that Facebook ad pop up. House for sale in Dallas. Thinking about relocating.
Telling you, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell them. They think I'm being over optimistic. I'm like, I can bring you chart after chart after chart that the average person that comes to Texas, they've sold everything. They like burnt the ship. They sold the house. They sold the furniture. They come with a 350 to their $500,000 and they ready to buy. And if they not ready to buy, I told you what my uncle did, right? Boom, they come into the apartment market.
I told you what my uncle did, right? I had an uncle sell a house in Fairfield, California. Shout out to the 707. If we got anybody, Vallejo, Fairfield, Vacaville, shout out to the 707. He sold his house right before the bubble bursted. And I think this was back in 03, 04. I think he may have got 350, 400,000, came to Dallas, paid cash for a house that was 160 and retired. And literally he got out just in time. Right. But I mean, that's what people are doing, and then people are pulling money out their retirement accounts too and coming out here buying property. So it's there, y'all. B-Town. I see you out there. O3Z.
I just want to get that clarified because everybody thinks I'm being over optimistic on Texas, but every conference, seminar, real estate thing I've been on is like companies figuring out how can I plan in the Southeast of the whole United States for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Every company.
And if y'all don't think our governor opening up Texas wasn't a business move, then you're grossly mistaken. You know, we sit back, and I'm saying we because I'm from Texas. You know, if you guys know anything about my political views, I'm independent, so I don't subscribe to anybody. But you know, Texas is sitting back watching Florida get all this money. That's my perception, right?
And South Dakota.
And watching South Dakota get all this money, like everything's open, right? So, you know, shoot, I went to Florida, you know, for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Because it was open. You know what I'm saying? So it's a business move, you guys. So take advantage of it.
There's so much I could tell people, but I'm like, I'm meeting a kid. Tim, I think I told you this last time. I met a kid at a business meeting, and oh boy, made $1 million in solar roofing in Beaumont and edges of Houston. Not even in Houston, just the edges.
Yeah.
And he literally just hired friends off Facebook, and they went knocking doors.
That's it.
He didn't have no system. He had no plan. They were sitting there like, son, come with us. Let us help you set up your business, right? Because you know, that's how powerful this area is. And like, if you don't think this storm gonna make a bunch of people in solar and plumbing and roofing make millions,
you guys never let a good crisis go to
waste. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I see somebody said people migrate from Chicago. I got I know so many people from Chicago. I got family in Chicago, but so many people are leaving Chicago. And just, you know, I got some people from Peoria. Sorry if I said that wrong, you guys, but they're down here. You know, they're like, man, you know, it's just opportunity. Like, you know, Texas, Dallas, DFW is the call center hub of the nation, right? If you got call center experience or if you need call center work, like you can get a job, you know, relatively quick out here in DFW. Okay. And if you think about now, with a lot of companies working from home, you're not commuting. So you're not spending money on gas. You know, they're providing you everything you need for work. Like, this is a really good time to make that move if you're about that life. If you're not, then, you know, you're not. That's it.
Someone asked, do you rent apartments too? And I was going to let you answer that because I know the answer. But
no, you know the answer. I handle with niche sales, man. I don't do any rentals. You know, what I've learned is that I need to work. I focus on what I'm good at. I'm good at listings. I'm good at buyers. That's it. So whenever somebody is looking for a rental, I always refer them out. You know, the apartment world, they just don't take care of realtors out here. It just is what it is. I would say the 2 or 3 times that I didn't get paid, it was on an apartment lease. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they have weird rules and then they only pay you like $100, something like that. So it just wasn't worth the time or the effort for me. But if you're looking to, like, let's say you have a rental property you want to put on the market, I can help you find a tenant all day long. But I don't do apartments.
Yeah, everybody talking about reverse migration in progress. You already know. Yeah. Texas is the business.
People coming back to the South, you guys. And I can't speak on any other states, but, you know, I mean, I'll pick on Birmingham, Alabama. They're starting to see people, you know, rise, right? Like
I told you, Mississippi runs ads. Mississippi runs ads to Chicago because it's the highest state concentration of landowners in Mississippi. All live in Chicago. So that means they left.
Yeah.
They inherited.
That's the correlation.
They're not there.
That's the correlation. You know, I had to study that in grad school. You know, the Great Migration. Most people, the average person from Chicago, if you ask them, they got people in Mississippi. Yep. Like that's where people hop the train and ran to. Just like you see people in Alabama, a lot of people in Detroit got people in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
My grandpa is in Chicago, and we have 200 acres beside the Choctaw Reservation, and that they reached out and was like, hey, what y'all doing? Oh no, we want to keep it. Like, what y'all need, you know? And so even I had to make a trip to Mississippi to be like, what's out here other than this hot trees and bush? It's hot out here.
Opportunity.
Well, you know, it's beside the res. I'm like, y'all want to lease? I can lease you. You want a 100-year lease?
Sure. You know? Sherm Sweet said $100 commission for a rental. That's how I was feeling, bro.
Well, I mean, even here in Texas, when I was working, I told you I was in Dallas. I was in here in Austin, and I was doing the math on every time that girl was getting like a full month's rent off of that apartment located. And I was like, I done gave old girl about $80,000.
Yeah, I mean, it could be advantageous. You know, like I said, there's apartment complexes that pay, like the luxury apartments. You know, the $3,000 a month, $2,000 a month. They look out for you, boy. You know,
and they rub your back.
Yeah, they rub your back. Like when I had some people that, you know, play professional sports, they love getting those temporary leave when the season was over and they had 4 or 5 months of chill. You know, they give me a call. Hey man, I need a lease on a luxury apartment, for 5 months. Like they looked out for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's different than, giving somebody an apartment that, the rent is $800 or $900 a month and they're only paying you $100, $200. So, to anybody that's needing maybe some luxury, we can have a conversation. It may be worth my time.
He said, y'all got me ready to move to Texas. Let me tell you, when I looked up the fact that 50% of black males in Chicago are unemployed, like, I don't know why you're there. I would literally hop a bus, hop a train, get in a car, and I sleep in my car. I sleep in my car in Dallas.
That hurts me to hear that. Like, I didn't even know
it's really bad.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, that's part of why Mississippi was like, well, how can we market to these people? If you got land here, won't you come back? And it's like,
come on back home.
Is there a job? You know what I mean? So yeah.
And let's keep it a buck. Like, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the nation. So miss me with that. Coming to the South is going to be country and it's going to be segregated. This is a red state, but Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the nation. I'll never forget. We went to Chicago one year. I took my son to a Cubs game. Now, granted, I'm not from Chicago, so all the people from Chicago, they always laugh when I tell this story because they know the game. So, being a person that watches it from TV, I said, you know what? My favorite sport is baseball. I said, I want to go catch a baseball game. So the Cubs were playing out of town. The White Sox were playing out of town. So I said, we'll just go to a Cubs game. Go to the Cubs game. Got some real good seats. Somebody threw a peanut at us. Like, I'm taking a picture with my son. Somebody threw a peanut at me. Like, we was the only black people in the section, right? And so as I'm doing a video with my son, like a peanut flew by me. And I look back. I had on my yellow own to be own shirt. So I was really flexing. The tattoos were showing. And I was like, all right, I know the game. I know where I'm at. Like, if I act the fool, they're going to kick me out. So we caught the train back to our hotel, which was just outside of downtown. I would say those first 6 stops, we were the only black people on that train. By the time we got to that stop before Chinatown, everybody got off. Everybody white got off. And then it was like a pouring of nothing but black people. And it was like, my son, he was like, what just happened? It's the city. So then one of my partners took us on a tour and he gave me the history. He was like, yeah, this is one of the most segregated cities in the nation. And we saw it. So, like, get it out of your head that I'm trying to hold on to something because I don't want to go somewhere because it might be a little racist. Newsflash, everywhere is a little racist, right?
Everywhere.
It just is what it is. Like, get that out of your head. I would rather be in Texas making money dealing with, the white supremacy in Texas than to be somewhere else broke and dealing with the white supremacy.
Tim.
It's just me.
I can tell you right now, I've been on the phone with about 15 brothers in Chicago, truck drivers. Like, it's so hard. I'm trying to be involved with the kids because they home and just get on the road. I'm like, brother, you need to be on the road. You need to be making some money. Like, if Chicago is that bad, you need to make some money. Y'all need to move. Somebody asked, of course, do you have preference for another city?
I mean, you know what, man? I'm just, I don't like to do this, but I mean, I got D-Town tatted on my arm, man. So I'll never pick another city over Dallas and Texas. I'm sorry. Like, if it's not Dallas or the DFW area, I'm going to always have preference over Dallas and DFW. This is my backyard. This is where I'm from, born and raised. I've traveled the entire world. There's never been a place like home. So I know this market. Now, does that mean that I can't help you? If you're trying to buy a house anywhere else, I can help you. I can refer you to someone who can get you, right? But you'll never, ever, ever hear me promote another city over Dallas. It's just not going to happen. Never. Now, I see somebody saying move to Charlotte, and stuff like that. Out of state, I might promote. I love Charlotte. Charlotte is one of them spots that I would go to today. But inside of Texas, I would never promote another city outside of Dallas. I'm D-Town till I die. Pleasant Grove, to be exact, 75227. You dig? So that's who I am, But shout out to these other little janky cities that's trying to keep up with Dallas and Texas.
I will say over the past couple of years, I've heard more on Dallas. I always hear people talking about Houston, but I hear a lot more on Dallas for people who want to long-term live.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of people from California, they come here and they be like, I don't like Austin. I'm going to go to Dallas. And I'm like, probably where you should have been anyway.
And you know what? Dinah asked a real good question. She said, what about San Antonio? If I were forced to choose another city. If I were forced, like if I'm gonna choose any city, but to live, if I had to live anywhere else, it would be San Antonio.
I cannot get with San Antonio. It's
I love San Antonio.
It's like Alamo white people over here, Hispanic people everywhere, then like
You know,
black
I like
people
San
left in this
Antonio.
corner of San Antonio like this big. I don't get it.
It's a military town.
Yeah, that's part.
And I love it. Like I said, I was in the Air Force. I was stationed there for a little bit. Did all my training there, tech school and basic training. And I just love San Antonio. San Antonio is like a big Albuquerque. If you've ever been to Albuquerque, it's just a big ass laid back Albuquerque. And people don't know this, but the city of San Antonio is actually bigger than the city of Dallas. Dallas has a bigger metro area, even when you include Fort Worth, because Fort Worth is what, the fourth largest city in the state. But the city of San Antonio is actually bigger than the city of Dallas. But it's just laid back, it's chill.
So spread out, yo. It's so spread out.
It's so spread out, but I've never had an issue.
Time of life, like I'm in a time of life where like, hey, let's get Houston, let's hit it up.
Houston has better restaurants.
I am getting towards the time in life where I'm like, well, you know, if I had to live in San Antonio, the suburbs, that's fine, right?
Yeah, Houston has they have a better nightlife scene, and they got better food, hands down. Houston has the best restaurants in Texas. You can go to Houston. Houston is like going to Chicago to eat. You can find you something to eat, and like every time we go to H-Town, and I pick on H-Town a lot, but I got family there. Hands down, best restaurants in the state. I'm not gonna even lie. Yeah, I
will say, except y'all can't twerk in y'all restaurants in Dallas. You know?
No, you can't twerk.
I will say this: as a person who moved here, if I moved to Dallas or Houston first, I'd have left. I'd have went back to North Carolina because I'm just not a big city girl. So I'd have felt like, where do I get in the city? Austin was perfect at the time because it was it's a small town and trying to be like a big city, and it really isn't. Like no matter how much they try to play, it's like everywhere you touch in Austin is really a suburb. Right? If you go a little bit outside of Austin.
It's a small city. I don't think people realize, like, y'all got I-35, you know, and then I think y'all have a loop, and then y'all got the tollway, and that's it.
We had another Hyperloop, and I'm like, the thing that made Austin so cool is like the students would go away. And so then the downtown and the parking would be like, oh yeah, summertime. Kids are gone. And you'll feel that now for about 2 weeks. Before, when I heard from people, they like, you feel that for 3 months. It would be like you walk anywhere, go anywhere, do anything. Now it's like, oh, I'm just here.
Yeah.
You know, and so, yeah.
You think about Dallas, we have 4 interstates. You know what I'm saying? Like just in the context of that, we have 4 interstates in Dallas. And then when you combine Fort Worth, you know, there's 3 extra ones, I believe, you know. So, you know, and you get that in Houston too, but like Austin is a straight shot through. You know, it's an interesting town. I fools with Austin. I probably couldn't live there.
Listen,
but it's an interesting town.
I will say in 5 more years it'll be a lot more interesting. I think more minority people be here. A lot of the kids that are teenagers now will be adults, and so a lot of stuff is changing in Austin, but not fast enough. Now I will say I'm trying to get an Airbnb in Houston. Okay, because Houston people fly in all the time, just trying to be there in that city, kind of thing. So that's my 2 cents on that. But somebody made a comment. I'm gonna address this. Okay, excuse me. Wait a minute. You're not gonna talk bad about North Carolina like that. No, you're not. That's what you're not gonna do.
Listen, man.
Because I'll meet people who leave Tennessee and North Carolina, come to Texas, and 2 years later be like, "Oh, girl, I'm going back." I'd be like, "Oh, really?" Because they have their own unique thing. Like I'm gonna say Austin versus Nashville. When I picked it, Nashville just substitute the black people for the Hispanic people. That's it. You go to Nashville, you got the black people, the chicken, the Southern music, the country music. You just switching Hispanic for black. That's it.
You know what's funny is because I was looking at areas. At one point in the game, I was actually thinking about leaving Dallas because I just wanted to get out, and do something different. And so Nashville, I've never been to Nashville. I've been to Knoxville, I think, wherever the border is between Tennessee and Virginia. I think I've been there, but where that it's some other place I went to. But anyway, like North Carolina, Charlotte, and Nashville are something that's just really nice. I love Charlotte.
They're just unique.
I love Charlotte. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I would move to Charlotte.
Well, and then you got the water like around the corner from Charlotte. Yeah, like you can have big money in Charlotte and really actually go to a big ass house. Oh, excuse me. Go to
don't take it personal to my people in the ATL because I love Atlanta, but Charlotte is what Atlanta used to be in the early 2000s, right? You remember the buzz that Atlanta had in early 2000s during the crunk era, during that Little John era, like that era between the Freaknik, that era between the Freaknik and the Little John era.
Yeah.
That's the vibe you get when you go to Charlotte. Like it's just always something going on. It's a clean city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just something to do. I remember when I went to CI, so I had to travel. I used to travel a lot for business, and I was in Greenville, South Carolina, doing some training there for a big company. And so one of the people that we were training said, "Hey, what are you guys doing this weekend since y'all gonna be here?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "It's CIAA weekend." I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's a basketball tournament
where all the white people run away from downtown."
Yeah. So we drove up to Charlotte. Oh my God, y'all, listen to your boy. Listen. Yeah, I had a good time. That I had a great time. And then we went back a couple years ago and went to Bar One. I don't know. I mean, I think it's Bar One. I think it's still open. I don't know. But man, like they had a bowling alley downtown. I thought that was the dopest thing I'd ever seen. Like it was just, I was like, man, Charlotte is popping. Maybe I just came on the right weekend, but
nah, it's that vibe. It stays that way. And again, Miss Bella, this is perfect example. Third generation native Houston.
Yeah, Bristol, Tennessee. Yeah, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
And they said they're working in DC, living in VA. I refuse to buy property here, knowing what I can get in Houston.
Man,
the price point is just so crazy.
Yeah. The sportsman. Thank you for that. Bristol is where I was talking about. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Bristol, Tennessee is nice. Let me see here. Crime is everywhere. Somebody said, where do military retirees live in the DFW?
That's a good question. See. So what we have here, I guess the military made a push recently within the past 10 years to change all the names to joint bases. So we actually have a joint naval base here. It's a joint naval base, Fort Worth, if I'm not mistaken. But it's between Dallas and Fort Worth, the Grand Prairie area. And honestly, a lot of people come here retire, and they choose one of the suburbs between Dallas and Fort Worth. We're not a military friendly town like San Antonio. San Antonio, if you military and you just got to do military friendly, San Antonio is the place to be. But Dallas is military welcoming, like the sports team of the military. So you can always get your military appreciation. But if you pull up to a store and say, "Hey, I got a military discount," they're going to be like, "Who?" Don't be appalled when that happens.
Well, and that's the thing. People hear Texas gives that 1 acre away, right? If you're a veteran. So people are like, "Oh, I want to move to Texas because I'm a veteran. I'm going to get that 1 acre." And I'm like, but where, you might want to move that towards Georgetown, Austin, near Fort Worth. Fort Hood is boo-boo. It's boo-boo. But it may be better just because you're going to be closer to some of your benefits. Yeah. And especially they put that command center downtown Austin.
Yeah, and that joint base is Fort Worth. I think that's like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's like White Settlement, Fort Worth area, but
something like that.
Yeah, we have a city called White Settlement out here, you guys, and they're
not changing it. They already talked about it. They're like,
already did the vote, and you can't redo the vote.
Well, they also did. They have a team in the south of part of Texas called Cotton Pickers.
Oh wow!
And it's all Hispanic now, and Hispanic people are like, "What's wrong? We picked the cotton. What's wrong?" And we're like,
"They don't get the history." They don't get the history. It's kind of like there was a lot of area subdivisions putting plantation in the name. And that was kind of a cold way to keep people out, like Plantation Farms, Plantation Hills.
North Carolina, South Carolina, they be like plantation.
Yeah. That was another way.
You'd be like, y'all, I get it. It's trying to be classy, but let's try another word. But yes, so military, again, again, it's pricing. Let's see. Somebody talking that smack. Don't talk smack about it. Don't you do it.
That's all right. You know what? He said H-Town better than DFW. Hey, listen, man, whatever helps you sleep at night. One thing I always remind people in Houston of is that Dallas people run H-Town, man. Let's not get it twisted. We can argue this all day long. Dallas people running TSU and U of H, and I'll even say Prairie View to that extent. I know I used to be at them parties, D-Town running town. Y'all don't be in my inbox talking bad to me.
It said you need to be married if you move to 7. I'm for real. Like I remember talking to this guy. He was at Austin. I was like, "You drove all the way up here for a happy hour?" He's like, "Girl, the parties in San Antonio be moving all around, and so I know Austin's where I can find somebody." I'm like, "Oh no, thank you." She said, "Thank you for your response. I'm looking to move to Texas by the end of the year from Detroit. Come on down.
Come on down. Come to the other D-Town."
Texas will change Biden's immigration policies. I believe so.
I ain't gonna get political on here. This ain't my audience. So Y'all, I'm not red or blue, so I piss everybody off. So
Pretty much.
I'm gonna leave that where it is.
And they know I lean
Yeah,
where I lean. And
yeah.
y'all, you can't tell me nothing about Trump, okay? Trump was talking this past weekend. I called my mom. I said, "Did you see the president talking?" She said, "What president? Trump."
I know you be getting flagged. I be seeing your comment section.
I be getting flagged.
Hey, but I respect you for standing on that. Don't ever back down. That's what you believe. Is what you believe. It is what it is.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. I'd rather it be up in my face, and I know it's there, than someone acting like they're gonna do something for me.
I prefer,
Maybe.
I prefer overt racism over covert
Oh,
racism.
sure.
That's my thing. You know,
It
I made
lets
a
you know
post.
what you gotta do.
I made a post the other day. I said, black men, typically this is what we can choose from. We can choose the party that openly hates us, or we can choose the party that's really, really, really nice to us, but doesn't hate us. I mean, but hates us behind our back. So it is what it is. You know, I take the overt over the covert any day. Son, where's my chart?
People say I see Cali folks like in Dallas is because it has bougie spots. Y'all got bougie spots.
Dallas is the home of the $30,000 millionaire.
That's right.
Yeah.
You be thinking this man is rich. You like, I got to move to Dallas to meet this man, Tim. Then I get there and he got 5 roommates, and I'm like, Tim, why don't you warn me? Why don't you warn me?
Dallas is the home of the $30,000 millionaire.
I'm gonna tell you, this is funny because we were talking about no twerking in the restaurant, no booty juice on the food, and also DJ Quick says San Antonio is like Compton.
It's just like Compton.
What?
Listen,
For real?
those are my favorite Quick songs. Listen, here's the thing about San Antonio.
Oh
man, that's one of my favorite songs. Like for real. But San Antonio is one of them cities. If you don't fool with us, we ain't gonna fool with you. You know, when I was out there, like any military town, and shout out to all the military veterans, they know what I'm about to say is the true deal. Like any military town, they don't want nobody, no out of towners coming in here trying to take over. So as long as I was always taught, I'm from the hood, man. So I was always taught, don't ever go to nobody else's hood shining. You know what I'm saying? You know, take your rims off if you need to take your rims off. Keep your base down low. You don't ever, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna flex on somebody in their own hood, and they're gonna feel that they need to get at you. So like San Antonio ain't no place. When we used to hit the clubs in San Antonio, we went out there fighting and doing all that stuff because we know how I get down in San Antonio. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start fighting the club out there, they start busting at you. It's a different game, So yeah, San Antonio got its hood ways, but for the most part, people are laid back and they don't really fool with you like that if you're not fooling with them like that, if that makes any sense.
I love y'all in the chat. They're like, Charlotte is full. Please don't move here. CIAA left. They in Baltimore now. Disrespect.
Somebody said Dallas is country. Houston is where it is. The first time I ever saw people riding horses down the street was in 5th Ward. We're not gonna have that conversation.
Yeah,
today.
I'm sorry.
We're not gonna have that conversation, Mr. Colbert.
They got chickens all over Houston. I can't.
Ain't no zoning down there. You can literally put a mansion next to a liquor store, and then
it's crazy.
Yeah.
The roads is mad raggedy. Somebody, thank you for a super chat. Hey, I'm 28, looking to move to Texas 2022. What would be a good city by the Gulf? I'm qualified for up to 250,000. I want to be by the water.
So let me give you some advice on Gulf water. Don't drink it and don't swim in it. The Mississippi River has a runoff, and the combination of the Mississippi River runoff plus the combination of that oil spill, our water is just bad. So the weather's great out there. It's really humid, but if you want to stay in the Gulf, I mean, if you're asking me, look at Corpus Christi. People say Galveston because it has such a close proximity to Houston, but I personally prefer Corpus Christi over Galveston. A lot of those Gulf ports or those towns are they're industry towns, meaning that it's a lot of oil and it's a lot of just industry. So it's not going to be like going to, a beach city in Florida or even Alabama where they have white sand beach. I think it's Ocean City. Like our beaches here ain't what they are. So I would say fly out there. Galveston's going to always be people's first. South Padre is along that Corpus Christi area. It's better. It's better in my opinion than Galveston. And I'm not beating up anybody in Galveston, but y'all know what it is. And especially after that oil spill, it's just not what it used to be. So I would say fly out there first.
There you go. G County Shorty said, my grandmother picked cotton for 25 years in El Campo and I'm Hispanic. Yeah. See, the cotton pickers, they like, that's fine. That's our name out there.
It's a different mentality. Like I said, we had different plights. So, picking cotton to one group is not the same as picking cotton to the other.
It was a job. So, how's the market in Midland and Tyler? Both those places are dry as hell, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I got a few clients from Midland. I mean, one thing I will say about Tyler, whenever you have a town that has a college in it, so Tyler has, Tyler TJC, you can always, pick up on a decent rental property because you're going to always have the influx. Um, Midland is a little bit closer to like that Lubbock area. I'm assuming, out there in West
Middle,
Texas,
where, yeah,
it's like right there in the middle. So, there's a lot of oil out there, a lot of jobs out there
yeah.
that's dealing with the oil industry, stuff like that. But I mean, if you're looking for a nightlife, you're looking to kick it, you know what I'm saying? I ain't heard nobody just saying they're going to
No,
Midland for the weekend, but you better go good. Like if you come to Texas, stick to the big five. Dallas, Fort Worth,
yeah.
Houston, San Antonio, Austin. You can throw El Paso in there because El Paso is a border town, so it's plenty to do. But stick to that big five.
Where do you recommend a Jersey girl live? Stick to the big five, like we
Big
said.
five. Let me tell you, coming from Jersey, one thing is you're gonna have to pump your own gas.
Mm-hmm.
So funny story. I had a client move down here from Jersey, had never pumped her own gas ever in her life. And so when she came down here, she was like, the hardest transition was pumping my own gas. So, stick to a big city. Dallas and Houston offer the same thing. Like I said, Dallas is the home of the $30,000 millionaire. It's a lot more flashy, a lot more, snooty people up here in Dallas.
I feel like Houston's a little bit more working class.
It's more working class. And, Houston's a good city. Houston, I had to do a paper in grad school about Houston. Houston is very progressive for Black people. If Black is your thing and you just have to be so Black, which is not a bad thing at all. Houston has a lot more Black opportunities. Dallas is still pretty segregated. I don't know if you guys know much about the Botham Jean situation that happened here, but they recently changed the street name where he lived, and they're going to name it after him. That actually fell in my zoning district, so I had to argue that case. And like I tell you guys, I mean, people were coming out the woodworks trying to defend not changing it, and the person that it was named after was like like one of the most brutal, slave owners in Texas. They didn't want to change the name. So, Dallas is flashy, Houston is a little less flashy, but opportunities are going to be similar.
Right. I agree. And I ain't gonna keep you here all night, but I
that's
know,
cool.
yeah. Zach, if you're moving to a new area, pay attention. If you notice that it's quiet, don't blast music and have parties.
Yeah, you know what, man? You always want to keep your cat eye on any area that you move to.
Yeah.
I ain't never been a person that draws attention to myself. Like I said, I'm real live and jovial on social media, but in real life, man, you won't even notice I'm in the room. I've always been taught to peep game, and that's if you move. If I'm moving to Vegas, or if I'm moving to Florida, if I'm moving to South Dakota for that matter, I'm a peep game and see, what's the temperature here, because you put a target on your back when you start kind of doing extra stuff. That's anywhere. I mean, here, you guys saw the news where the kid in Plano was walking home from work and got arrested for walking home during a snowstorm, right? So that's Collin County, and Collin County has a history, of, racism. I believe Collin County has the largest membership of Klan members in Texas. So,
even whenever I see a Black, the face they put out to speak to the media, I go, let me Google that town, because usually that person's hired to shore up their diversity issues. So as soon as I saw the sheriff or whoever it was of Plano go out there and speak, I was like, let me Google Plano, because I was like,
yeah,
you don't get hired for those positions.
You don't get hired. Oh, we can do a whole show on that.
You don't get hired like that.
I ain't gonna say that. I've actually coined a term for that, and I'm actually gonna write a book about it. So I'm not gonna use that term, but there's a term I have for that when you start seeing certain people put in front of the media to speak for us.
Sure.
And I'll say this: if you see somebody placed in front of a camera to speak for us, they're typically the people you need to watch out for.
Someone says, does Houston have multifamily houses 3 or 4? Yes, here and there. It's not crazy.
Multifamily is not huge in Texas as it is everywhere else, because again, we can still build out. When you think multifamily, you think of people who have to build up in high dense areas. And while Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex and Houston metro area is large, there's so much room to expand. So yes, you're gonna find multifamily, but not in great abundance like you would, on the East Coast or up north.
So Robert Colbert, tread light, baby, before I block you off the channel. I know of the Woodlands. I know of Sugarland. I know of all these areas around there, River Oaks. I'm just saying, for a working class person to move to Houston, they're going to have more opportunity to get into housing. Dallas is going to be a little bit upper cost, and you may have to move further out. So tread right, Colbert. Y'all in Houston be a little sensitive. Tread light for y'all.
Stop being so sensitive. See, that's not being so sensitive.
Y'all can't even
No, we
relax.
messing with y'all, man. It's all
Okay.
love. I love H-Town. For real, I really do.
Yeah, someone says I've been in Austin 16 years, originally from DFW. I miss the black culture, don't miss the crime. Don't do DFW like that.
Hey, it's grimy out here. Y'all, let's not act like we weren't watching the first 48 and seeing my hood, Pleasant
I
Grove,
thought that
leading
was
the
so
show.
crazy. I was like, is it really bad over there? Or they just
Fun
doing
fact,
4
I personally know 3 people who've been on that show.
That's crazy. You know, when they get that chicken in the room or some soda, it's a wrap. I'd be like, all it showed me is the police don't solve no crimes. That's all it showed me. Okay, so all right, you guys. Any last questions for Tim as we are in here? Someone said best cities for singles. I don't know. You got the Google. I think Houston made a list, and then Dallas was number 2 on it. Don't quote me. Just Google it. But Tim, what are some things people need to be like looking out for, being aware of, kind of pushing for?
You know, as it relates to purchasing a home or relocating?
Yeah, purchasing a home, relocation, because that's the number one thing I'm seeing right now on YouTube is relocation.
So
They want to
what
relocate.
if you're trying to buy a house right now, the most important thing that you need to do is stack your money. Okay. When you need concessions during a seller's market, you never win. If you need the seller to pay for the title policy, you need the seller to pay for the survey, and you need a seller to offer a home warranty, which home warranties, you know, can range anywhere from $400 to $600. It's just something that they give you. So for the first year, if anything breaks down, that's not structural, they'll cover that. If you need, you know, a really long inspection period, like if you're really needy, if you need closing costs during this market, you're not going to win the bid. It's going to be really, really hard for you to win a bid. So I would say save up a decent amount of money, a number to start with, you guys, and don't beat me up when I say this. I'm just telling you based on my 16 years of experience, what I've seen helps win. If you're going to buy a house, I would say save up 5 to 6% of your target purchase price. So, you know, if you're trying to buy, you know, a $200,000 house, 6% of that is going to be what, $12,000. 12 to 15,000 is always a good price to have. Can you get into a house cheaper than that? Of course you can. But, you know, if you want to be someone who is aggressive, if you save up that money, not only can you help yourself position yourself to win a bid, but then you have a little extra money afterwards to actually make any repairs or any, you know, subtle changes that you might want to make. First, one of the houses that I bought a few years ago, you know, we bought the house under market value. We spent $10,000 to get new floors, new paint, and we updated our kitchen just a little bit by appliances. And then we ended up selling that house for $50,000 more than we purchased it for a year later. You see what I'm saying? So if you have that upfront money to play around with to help you renovate and do things on the back end that maybe a seller is unwilling to do, then it's a win-win for you. That's my first set of advice. Second, you know, keep an open mind. Don't think that just because you're going out that you're going to find the house that you love the first time. Unless you're going to a builder, that's not the reality. The reality is that, you know, you need to, you know, I call it baseball numbers. You know, you're going to strike out a few times, you know, but you need to go ahead and just get out there and just work on it. So, you know, keep an open mind, you know, that's it. And then lastly, don't take advice from somebody that bought a house 30 years ago. All right. I know y'all love your moms and you love your pops and your grandparents, but they bought a house when the interest rates were 10.5% and houses were $100,000. Okay. Me and my mom, we laugh all the time because the house I live in now is in an area where we grew up. It's just a little bit further east. And she says, I remember when those houses were built and, you know, I can't believe what you paid for that house. But what I paid for that house is $80,000 more. It's worth $80,000 more than what I paid for it just 3 years ago. So, you know, she can't really conceptualize paying what I paid for my house because she bought her house for $95,000 and she's been there for 30 years. So when you start bringing somebody along who's never made a big purchase or who bought a house and paid it off and it took them 30 years and they never refinanced, they're going to muddy your thought process. And a lot of people can't separate a mother's or father's love from real estate logic. So I end up looking like the bad guy when I say, man, your mom is your mom and I know you love her, but she has no clue what she's talking about when it comes to this because she bought her house 30 years ago when the houses were $65,000. You see what I'm saying? So those are the top 3 nuggets I can give you guys. Y'all know I ain't gonna BS you. I'm just gonna shoot you straight. That's why a lot of people like me.
So everybody, if you haven't checked out, Tim is a great guy who has a charity that he runs, focusing on young Black men that hopefully in the future we'll be able to put some of them through some kind of appraiser school, something.
Yeah,
We
we
learned
sent
about
them.
the
Yeah,
3 day school, $179 for the 3 day school. Like, I want to send some kids.
yeah.
This is Tim Real Dope book, the in-depth comparison between the real estate and the dope game. I want to send a couple of these books to a prison. We'll have to talk about that and figure out if we can do that.
Oh, you absolutely can. You just have to send it through Amazon.
Mhm.
I purchased my book through Amazon. I've sent 20, 30 copies of books to prison. So just
Yeah, they
purchase it
have
through Amazon. Yeah.
a system like donating books. So I'm trying to think of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna donate to this particular charity. But you could also check out realdopetim.com. You can hear his podcast. I know a lot of you asked last time about his podcast. Here's the website. You can check it out here on SoundCloud, on Spotify. This is his Instagram. You can see Tim Jackson now, U.S. Air Force, Chair Force vet.
Chair Force. Hey,
Favorite.
man. Hey, listen, man.
Thank you for
Hey,
your Chair
listen,
Force
man.
service.
Don't blame me because I tested well on my ass vap and I could
I
choose.
know, right? He's like, I ain't got to be out there in them greens.
Yeah. And
So again, yeah, y'all check it out here. You can see a lot of his videos, a lot of his clips. That's too much.
what is that? Oh, Dallas and Houston.
Dallas versus Houston.
Y'all see that? Dallas, wash your hands. Houston, wash your ass. Listen, I didn't make that up. That happened. Hey, Eric, is it okay if you share my new YouTube page too? I just created it and I've been doing some. Sure. So I put it in your private chat, but it's essentially Real Solutions Tim. I'll put I can type it as well.
And I'll share. I'm gonna share it on the community tab. Let me click your link. Hold on. Give me a second here.
So I put a couple of videos. I did like some talked about eliminating debt and stuff like that. But I'm about to step it up a little bit more, specifically since I went back to my own brokerage. So
yeah, I mean, what people are gonna understand here in the future, Tim, is you have to kind of own your own stuff because
you do.
You
do. You got to. I learned that in the mailing list. I think you taught me about that mailing list. I always give you props where props is due. But I think I'm not gonna say think. You actually showed me the importance of having a YouTube page as well. So you guys, if you're watching this, if Erica's giving me her blessing, please take a look and subscribe. I'm about to start putting out a ton of content. And I'm gonna have Erica on my show. Erica, you got to come to my Facebook group
for sure.
And do a conversation with them. But you guys feel free to follow me at Real Dope Tim on all social media. I just got on Twitter.
Is this the right one? I want to make sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's the page right there.
Okay.
And so you see the background, but I have a Twitter account. I've never used it, so I'm starting to get active in it. So, look out for your boy on there, man. I'm about to start producing content, and it's going to be similar to what you hear, Erica. We gotta keep that tight knit and put out the good information. I'm not putting out anything janky. If I haven't done it or haven't personally experienced it, I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm not going to be what I like to call one of them clubhouse
cap.
One of them clubhouse professionals, that have the answer to every damn thing. But then when you start pulling back the layers, when you start asking for receipts, they can't show you. Anything I show you or anything I say, I can show you a receipt.
Yeah. Last question. Somebody said, opinion on pre-construction houses. You mean new construction?
New construction? I'm cool with new builds. Here's the thing. When you go out to a builder, and I'm not saying this because I'm in real estate, take a real estate agent with you. From my experience, builders tend to omit things that they know you won't ask for.
Oh, yes.
And so what happens is a lot of people, and some people just don't want to deal with a real estate agent. So I'm not talking to you guys. You've already made your mind up. I'm not trying to convince you. To the other people who aren't really sure, get you a real estate agent. Out here in Texas, they can't discount your house if you don't have an agent. They can't say if you come without an agent, we can give you a better deal. I think that's against the law here in Texas. So you want somebody that can negotiate, because I've seen so many new construction deals go left, and because they don't use what we call a promulgated form, meaning that the state of Texas doesn't approve their forms, then it's essentially a legal contract that they wrote. So you want to make sure that you are being represented the right way, because typically if they know that you have representation, they're less likely to screw you over. And I'm just keeping it real. It's a business at the end of the day. It's a numbers game for them. They don't owe you anything, and you're signing a contract that says they get everything if you back out. So have you an agent to go out there with you, someone with experience. But I love pre-construction or new construction. why not sell somebody a house that, they're the first person to, fart in it. You know what I'm saying? But just know what you're doing when you go out there and have representation.
For sure. Listen, everybody, look at him in that jacket. Got the
Hey,
velvet
man,
on.
well, what is that, velvet?
Velvet.
Listen, man. That's one of my favorite pictures. We ain't, unfortunately, we haven't been able to go to City Hall and go to the Horseshoe and meet like we normally meet. Everything is virtual. But man, one of my highlights of my career is being able to be appointed to a position and serve my community, at the city level. So, it's not it's just something that I've really enjoyed doing. I've met a lot of amazing people. I've learned a lot about how the game really works. A lot of stuff that we're taught is not how things go. So we need somebody who's going to go down there and soak up that game and then come back and show you, hey, this is what it is.
Listen, we could do a whole show talking about what's on the front street and what's really on the back street. Okay. Like, here's what's on Front Street promoted to a lot of young people, and go to coding, go to college, go this. And then the back street is all.
Hey, Erica, can you do me a favor, buddy?
Can
you pull up the link to my my YouTube page and post it? Somebody's asking if they could.
Yeah, you guys gonna have to type in Tim Jackson, but I'm gonna share you in the community tab and I'm gonna share you in the email.
Thank you so much.
So then that way can just click straight to it. Just go straight Tim Jackson, y'all.
And I'll type in the comments right now. Tim Jackson official page, and then if you click on that, it's my face, it's the page, and I'm gonna have Erica on soon.
For sure. Listen, y'all cracking me up.
They have been flaming my jacket. Nobody talk about my jacket.
They tell me something. I lived in both Houston and DFW twice, with my last DFW stint being from 2016 to current. DFW aesthetics trump Houston's all day. However, DFW can come off as pretentious in some areas.
Oh, super. Well, the home of the $30,000 million.
Honey, yes.
But I appreciate you for having me. Like, all jokes aside,
for sure.
You're one of the few people, and by few I mean two people, that can actually call me and say, hey, can you hop on with me tonight? And I'll clear my schedule for you every single time. I appreciate you. You definitely helped me a lot, so, when you come to Dallas, let me take you to the best Whataburger. Not messing with you. We're going to grab some food and it's going to be on me.
For sure. All right, you guys, listen. I'm so glad I'm going to go get a meal on Tim because, I was standing outside the road with my thumb and in the snow and he kept going. So it's okay, though.
And you didn't have no lights. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to put you at a disadvantage.
Nah, it was crazy. That snowstorm was something else, but I'm glad you got through. Someone, and the last question, close it out. Jay Dizzle said, hey, will there still be opportunity for real estate in Texas 2 to 3 years from now?
You guys,
I want to become an agent after college in Texas.
Listen, Jay Dizzle, let me give you some look at me, okay? Look at me in my eyes. I want you to rewind this and watch this about 10 or 11 times, okay? There will always be opportunities for real estate in Texas. I don't care if you get your license today. I don't care if you get your license in 10 years. Study the numbers on Texas. We ain't going nowhere. We're still building out, and Texas is the largest state in the continental U.S., okay? It's not like California where you have mountain ranges and valleys of inhabitable land. It's flat land in Texas, and it's building out. You will always have an opportunity. Second, Jay Dizzle, 23. Do not be the typical real estate agent who goes out there, because I'm looking at your picture and you seem very photogenic, okay? Don't be that agent who takes great photos but doesn't take good advice, okay? Find you a broker who's going to teach you the game, not a person that's going to show you how to do things, somebody that's going to teach you the game. Every agent who has ever worked for me has made more money with me than they've made with anybody else until they left and did their own thing. So I sat down and taught them the game. Most of my agents were my clients, believe it or not. I taught them so much about the real estate process when I sold them their house that they went and got their license. So get with a broker who's going to focus more on education and application than a person who's going to focus more on, you look really good, we need you to promote our business. Because at the end of the day, they'll pimp your look to get more money, and then the people that's actually doing the work will benefit from your photos or benefit from your likeness per se, but you're not making no money. You're going to get frustrated because no one's teaching you how to write a contract. No one's teaching you how to negotiate. No one's teaching you what to say and what not to say to your clients. No one's showing you how to fake it till you make it. I had to fake it till I make it. People had no clue I was working in corporate America because they thought I was a full-time agent because I came across as a full-time agent. So put the time, effort, and energy, and understand this, Jay Dizzle 23. I'm calling you by your name, all right? And anybody listening to this, they don't teach you how to sell real estate in real estate school. They don't. They teach you contracts. They teach you law. They teach you marketing. They teach you agency. They do not teach you how to sell real estate. You have to get with someone who's going to teach you that. If you go on an interview with a company and, we're going to get you these business cards and we're going to put you on our Facebook picture. If they don't, and you ask them, how often do you have training? If they don't say at least 1 to 2 times a week, jump ship. Don't be afraid to go with the big boys. I went with the big boys when I first started. A lot of Black people in particular like to go with those small pay per transaction brokers.
Trying to count the dollars.
Because in their mind, well, if I sell a $200,000 house, that's $6,000, and then I only paid $300. So that's no. You're gonna spend that money and that time, and you're gonna be selling 3 houses a year to make $15,000 when you could have went to a broker who's gonna tax you. They may take 30%, but they're gonna put you on game. I learned the game from a big broker, and I started my business, and I'm who I am today. Excuse me, because I had enough wisdom to sit back and peep game. Like, that's it. I peep game. And I said, damn, that's how the millionaire agents do it. Okay. I read the books. Gary Keller has a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's not an endorsement. I'm just putting you on game. That's a damn good book if you're a new agent. The One Thing also, he has a book. That's not an endorsement. I'm just putting you on game. Sometimes we don't like to put people on game because we say, well, they're not paying me to say it. I don't give a damn about that. If it's going to put you on game, go get it. You see what I'm saying? But that's my advice to you, man. I hope you learn the game. I hope you work the game. I see somebody put KW in there. I've worked with KW. Actually, I just left KW. If you Google me, you might see some KW stuff. They recruited me back 3 years ago. I went there for 3 years and I'm leaving. I left today and came back to my own brokerage. But good place to start. It could be a good place to end. But do what's best for you and don't go for the look, because the look will fade. When people realize you can't write a contract, they're going to be looking at you upside your head. All right?
Mollywop you upside the head.
Mollywop.
Listen, all right. Real estate industry is full of good-looking people can't close. Thank you, Sherman. Tim, thank you again for your time. Listen, there's so many things that you are knowledgeable on. You lived a full life, Again, you lived in Alaska up there with the Air Force.
Hey, listen, man. What Jeezy say, I don't want much baby egg whites. That's all, man. I'm not hard to please, man. I'm gonna give you this game. I don't have a problem. There's certain things I might charge y'all for, but you know what? To get to the door, you're gonna have more game than the average person's gonna give you. That's what it's about. We gotta start helping each other and realize this. It's not a competition. Erica, you will never be my competition, and I'll never be your competition.
I keep telling people we swim in just closing it out. Somebody was talking to me about, I ain't trying to do wholesaling. It's saturated. I said, baby, there's 17 million vacant homes in America. What are you talking about? We all could eat for days and days and days and days and days.
Listen, I used to, because I had a narrow mind, I used to I'm not going to say I used to crap on wholesaling, but I wasn't open to it. Yeah. I'm definitely open to it right now because there's so many opportunities. If you work it right, it's saturated with people who don't know the game, but the people who do know the game, they're the only ones making the money. So you got to learn the game. You can't follow those people that just sell you a system and a product, but they're not teaching you the game. That's with anything, right? Somebody can say the truck game is saturated.
Man,
somebody can say the credit game is saturated. Somebody can say the insurance game is saturated. You guys, every industry is saturated. I pick on it and say real estate is saturated. But at the end of the day, in any industry, 10%. You got 33% of the people coming in, 33% of the people working, and 33% of the people leaving. So get into that middle 33% and get this bread.
Tell them, listen.
That's it. I can talk to you all day. I love your audience.
Because people in here come in here for solutions. You can say whatever everybody wants about my audience. My audience is 28 to 45, and they come to buy, educate, and get ready and get their children ready.
Somebody asked me what my score was. It was high. Let's just put it like that.
I put that in there because I thought it was funny. But
it was high.
All right, listen, you guys, make sure you check out Tim Jackson's Real Dope. He has a charity. You can check the charity out via the website links. He has podcasts, and I will be sharing his YouTube videos in the chat. And someone asked, you have a broker in Oklahoma you can recommend? Hit him offline, y'all.
Hit me up offline.
Go
I can always recommend an agent to you. Hit me up offline. Go follow the page, and let's figure it out. Okay.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you.
Hey, always take care.